Okay. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome, Geshe. Ready whenever you are.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm in New Mexico, Santa Fe.
Nice.
So again, good evening, everyone. Again, wonderful to see all of you again. Again, we will start with a short motivations. First, try to quiet your mind by watching the breath mindfully a few moments. Then we can try to have a good intention motivation. We can think, for example, the purpose of life is to improve ourselves and to be more virtuous. More kind, compassion, more wise. Trying to be as much as help to others, directly, indirectly, through body, speech, and mind, whenever possible. And even if we cannot help others, at least we try to not to hurt and harm others, intentionally, knowingly. And to be able to do that better, we need to train our mind, practice. And to train the mind and practice, we need to be encouraged, reminded, and inspired to practice and to train the mind. For that purpose and reason, that's why we have come here together. We are ever coming together to listen and to engage in discussion, contemplations may all become cause and conditions to obtain fully awakened state and to be greatest help, benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so we can share the
So is refuge?
Yeah. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. by the merit I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Shodam Soge Shonam Ma Chanju Padu Dane Dage Shushe Besonam Dola Pinje Sangye Doba Sangye Shodam Soge Shonam Ma Chanju Padu Dage Shushe Besonam Dola Pinje Sangye Doba Kanje Dujeni Sone Tawa Kanje Pambe Tabe Shunite Kodam De La Chapsa No. So again, welcome everyone, and again, thank you for joining. And we had just started a couple of weeks ago on this mind training text by Atisha, the Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas, garlands of the June, and again, it contained a lot of advice, instructions, and if we can apply even just some of it, it could make a huge difference in our life. Even if we might not be able to apply everything immediately, but even if we can apply even just some of it, that could have a strong positive changes and difference in our life. And so we are on a verse where it comes to overcome anger and arrogance and let the humility rule your mind. So we just finished up to that. And the next two line from that same verse, give up your unwholesome kind of living and pursue a livelihood in keeping with Dharma. So it's meaning advising to give up wrong livelihood and try to live according to right livelihood. And especially in, of course, there is slightly different what is wrong livelihood and right livelihood according to the ordained ones and lay practitioners. So here maybe we talk more from the lay practitioner point of view, and so wrong livelihood is, giving up livelihood, that harms other sentient beings, such as, making livelihood by engaging in a professional or business in creating weapons that could be used to take the life of others. Professions or business, making living through engaging by engaging, traffic of the human beings, such as livelihood through, selling or making profit through the, killing animals, such as butchers, so in that way, again, we make our livelihood by taking the life of others. So, and then, livelihood through, engaging into making livelihood by engaging in a profession to make profit, such as through the, selling drugs, alcohols that could destroy a lot of people's life. And then, making livelihood through engaging into making profit through the, poisonous, so, and then again, poison that can be used to kill and take the life of others. So those are more or less kind of the wrong livelihoods, so trying to avoid as much as possible to engage in any kind of investment or profit from such investment or professional profit, and then trying to make a livelihood, that doesn't support the taking the life of others, that harms others' life in such a strong negative way, those avoiding those wrong livelihood and try to engage in the right livelihood as much as possible. So I think that is what the meaning of that. Okay, so next, do away with your addiction to the material things and adorn yourself with the riches of Aryas. So again, advising to give up being, having too much attachment or craving or addictions to material things, instead, try to accumulate or adorn yourself with the wealth or riches of Aryas. Aryas are those noble beings. Arya noble beings are those who have a direct realization of emptiness. Those are the Arya noble beings. So then there are 7 Arya noble beings' wealth or riches. So then there are like those, the wealth of faith is one, of mental discipline is the second, and then their generosity, third one, and learning, fourth one, decency is fifth, self-control is sixth, and the wisdom is 7. So such are the 7 riches of the wealth of the Aryas, and this most sacred form of wealth are 7 treasures that never run out. So these are riches or the wealth. If we can accumulate, if we can accomplish those wealth, then those wealth doesn't run away like the external wealth. Once you accomplish it, is with nobody can steal you from them. Those internal wealth, those Arya wealth, nobody can steal from you. Nobody can destroy you. But external wealth, it can be destroyed. It can be, it can be stolen by others. It can be destroyed by natural, natural disasters like that. It can be destroyed by elements, by insects, other form of that. But those internal, if we can cultivate those internal 7 of wealth, then it is something that doesn't run out. It's like treasure that you always have, never running out. So you can have access to that all the time. Nobody can take away from you. Nobody can steal from nobody or nothing. No external factors cannot destroy that. And so therefore, encouraging, instead of spending so much time and energy and resource to accumulate the external wealth, which are very transitory, unreliable, and can be easily destroyed, can be easily stolen, can be easily lost. So here the advice is instead make more effort, give more time, energy to accumulate and to cultivate and to develop those inner wealth, Arya wealth or riches. Wealth of faith, we already discussed last time, faith is a positive virtue state of mind that acts as a cause for aspirations, So, we already kind of spoke about three kind of faith, like the joyful or delightful faith is, when you hear the qualities of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, for example, or the qualities of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, you feel very delighted, you feel joyful to hear the incredible qualities such as the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, or when you hear the benefit of Bodhisattva mind, you get very inspired, joyful, and delighted, such. And then, the faith of wishing faith or aspiring faith. And, that is when you hear the Dhamma and when you study the Dhamma, then you have the wish to abandon those negative actions, the wish to abandon the delusions, obscuration, the wish to actualize the cessation, the Dhamma, the path within yourself. That is kind of the aspiring or wishing faith, for example. And then, in terms of unreversible or immovable faith is, we study, we learn the Dhamma, and we actually apply those Dhamma in our life. And then through applying in our life, we begin to see certain positive changes. We begin to see some result. Then you increase your faith in that teaching. You increase your faith in that practice, in the Dhamma. And such faith in Dhamma, such faith in the teaching, such faith in the practice become, unmovable or unshakable or unreversible, because, those is you have identified with your own practice, and you saw that is true. You saw the result of that. So those are the faith. Mental discipline. The second wealth is the practice of avoiding harmful action through body, speech, and mind. Avoiding harmful actions through body, speech, and mind. So in terms of the discipline of the body by avoiding harmful physical actions, the discipline of the speech, avoiding engaging in any kind of harmful speech, and then mental discipline of avoiding the mental states, harmful mental states, such as hard feeling or hurtful feelings, ill will feelings, so trying to avoid those because such actions harms others as well as yourself. It harms everyone's. Sometimes it harms directly, sometimes if it doesn't harm directly, indirectly it harms. So trying to avoid those and engage in that kind of discipline, that trying to avoid as much as possible that is harmful actions. So yeah, also in Bodhisattvas practice, there are three kind of ethical discipline, ethical discipline of, refraining from the harmful or unwholesome actions, and then, engage in the discipline of, ethical discipline of engaging the virtues, and the ethical discipline of helping and benefiting others. And so the first one, the ethical discipline of abstaining or refraining from harming or unwholesome actions is the basis for the two others. On the basis of, while trying to abstain or refrain from hurting and engaging in action that hurt and harms and unwholesome actions. On top of that, then we try to engage in the virtues to be more benefit, other virtues, purification, accumulation of merit, all other forms of other virtues. And not only we restrain and refrain harming others, and not only we engage in other form of virtues on the basis of that, then thirdly, engage in the moral discipline of helping and benefiting other sentient beings, and then helping and benefiting others. So you see how earlier practice of moral discipline act as a support or the foundation for the next level of the moral discipline, and then first two become a foundation to engage in the moral discipline of helping and benefiting others. Because in order to help and benefit others, you need to have certain virtues, and you need to refrain from some to be able to refrain from harmful actions. So there's a moral discipline, generosity, So again, the practice of generosity, the thought to give, wish to give. And again, generosity is not limited by the lack of wealth. The moral generosity is training your mind to give. Even you don't have anything to give, you have a strong wish to give and share, that is generosity. If you are sincerely, you might not have anything, but from your heart, you really feel, I wish I could give, and wanting to give, that is also generosity, generosity, training your mind. So generosity is not, the practice of generosity is not limited by the lack of wealth, Of course, if we have wealth to be generous, and we practice generosity. But even you don't have anything to give, but if you train your mind and if you have that strong wish to give, to share, that is generosity. And the learning, and everything's come through the learning. Wisdom comes through the learning, what is to be abandoned, what is to be practiced, that comes through learning. It comes through wisdom and learning. So learning is the basis, through learning and then practicing, then we become more kind, compassion. Through learning and practicing, then we have more wisdom. Through learning and practicing, then we make progress on the path and achieve spiritual realization. Through learning and practice, we learn what not to do and what to engage into. Through learning and practice, we practice not to engage in action that hurt and harms. Through learning and practice, we try to practice to be help and benefit. So learning. Decency. Decency is, again, both the decency of self-control are a virtuous mind. It's all about a virtuous mind. They're all a kind of virtuous mind. generosity, I say, is also the mind of giving. And decency is trying to not to engage into any kind of unwholesome evil actions, or negative actions, by having consideration for others, by showing decency or consideration for others, how can I do that? If I do that, it will hurt others, harm others. If I do that, I am, if I engage in such actions, I am bringing a bad name or reputation to the Dharma. I'm bringing a bad reputation and name to such as His Holiness the Lama, because I'm bringing a bad image and bad name to the Dharma, such as like that, So having a consideration, due to having considerations for others, then we try to avoid and not engage in such evil, unwholesome, negative actions. Self-control is again a virtuous mind. That same way, it try to again refrain or restrain from engaging in the evil, negative, unwholesome actions. But from the reasoning of yourself, from the reasoning of yourself, the other decency from the reasoning from other side, in reason from here, from reason of yourself, saying, how can I engage in that, being a follower of Buddha, as a Buddhist practitioner, how can I engage in such? If I engage in such that I am creating negative karma, as a consequence, I will experience suffering in the futures. And since I don't want to suffer, I shouldn't engage in a cause and condition that will bring more suffering in the futures. As a practitioner, I've taken these vows and that vows, and how can I engage in that? Because it goes against my vows, it goes against my precepts. As a practitioner, I shouldn't. So on the basis of that, then we try to set control. From the reasoning yourself, you try to set control from engaging into any kind of evil, harmful, negative, unwholesome actions. And the wisdom is the mind that differentiates right and wrong. The mind that has the ability, the mind that has able to distinguish, such as right and wrongs, virtues and non-virtues, what will be, what is meaningful, what is not meaningful, what is, so all of that wisdom, and so such virtuous qualities, such, and of course wisdom, many wisdom, especially, we can say that wisdom, relies on conventional reality, and wisdom relies on ultimate reality. And there are many other wisdom as well, but maybe we could say mainly that, and so those are the virtuous mind. The virtuous mind, once we have been able to cultivate and develop and accumulate within our mind, then those are the most wonderful wealth. So that is here. And then do not speak of this to those who are not human. That part I'm not so sure exactly. So here it says non-human, but sometimes it could be also human too, but I don't know. It's basically, if someone is unsuitable to share such, normally many of the teachings, especially Kadamba teachings, they always says, the advice is not to show up and not to share your spiritual realization to others. It's something you keep for yourself. It's not to boast and say, oh, I have this and that. Of course, sometimes if you want to make sure that what you have is right or wrong or correct, you can share with your teachers or maybe some friends that in order to make sure that your understanding is correct or what you taught. But other than that, you are not supposed to show it. It's something, and that is all the masters. If you ask them, including His Holiness Dalai Lama, he never said, I have this realization. Very often, he always says, I'm just a simple monk. And among them, sometimes they share stories, like very close Dharma friends, like some lamas share their experience with His Holiness, and probably His Holiness shared with them, but they don't really share, and so Dharma practice is something personal. Something personal you keep for yourself, not to show up, Also, it's a way of keeping yourself more humble, humility, and also, if your practice has not reached very high level, by sharing that, and then people started to respect you, people started to praise you, shower you, all things, then again, that can again pollute your practice, unless you have reached a certain point. And so therefore that can be an obstacle as well for Dharma practitioners. And then you can be distracted with all other things, and so therefore, advice is not, unless it's very important. Sometimes there's very extremely important, it's a very important purpose, necessary purpose, then maybe it's okay to share, but otherwise, it is something that you keep for yourself. It's not to kind of speak to others, or I have this Bodhisattva mind, or I have this great compassion, or I have this wisdom realizing emptiness, or this and that. It is not something to speak and go about and speak to everyone, so like that. So especially there are some, just like human beings, there are also non-human beings, spirit, who are also just like human beings, animals, there are some nice animals and aggressive animals, peaceful animal, aggressive animals. In the same way, there are humans who are more aggressive, and there are humans who are more kind and compassionate, nice human beings, not so nice human beings. In the same way, in other worlds or realms, even in the spirit, there are some good spirit and there are bad spirits, and just like in humans, some of those bad spirits have a lot of jealousy, and they could harm. And sometimes when you speak that, and then it happens that kind of unsuitable, such as spirit, and then they are full of jealousy in your spiritual practice, and then also not only they are jealous, they could be harmful, and then they try to harm you as well. And so therefore, that is, it says not human, I think, for that, but also if anything, so anyway, that is just my take on that, because I have not seen any commentaries. I try to find commentary on this, why not to speak, and why, who are not human beings, and who is that non-human beings. So, and then again, I haven't found myself so far. I've even asked some of my friends. I've even asked some actually lamas, rinpoches also, and also they don't seem to, not specific on that. So that is my, that's what I think, and some of other also my friends think that was what it means. So, and then next, leave all the busyness and distraction behind and dwell instead in seclusions and solitude. And again, especially for the beginner, beginner practitioners, when we become too busy with worldly things, you don't have really time to study and practice. And even you try to find little time to study and practice, you cannot concentrate because your mind is running after all the things, because you are so busy with worldly things, while you are trying to meditate, your mind started to go, fixing the garden, or cleaning the house, or so because there's so much worldly things to do, even you try to meditate, even you try to, your mind is not there. Your mind is not there because it runs after all things, what I need to do, what I have to do, this and that, or I haven't finished that, I need to finish that. So your minds run everywhere. So you might spend half hour, 1 hour meditating, trying to practice, but probably really mind, maybe, I don't know, even we can concentrate 10 minutes, 15 minutes very well from that. Mind is running everywhere. And why? Because that happened because of the busyness. Busyness, when you become busy, your mind becomes busy. That is how it is. Even like in meditations, when people do retreat, it takes them weeks to settle down. First few weeks, their mind still goes, even though now they are not busy, they come to certain places, retreat places. Still few weeks, their mind still runs after them. And because you are not busy now, they're just studying, meditating, and practicing. Slowly, your mind becomes less and less busy. Stop thinking about your house. Stop thinking about your friends here and there. And then you can kind of settle, and that is what also I heard, like, in Kopan, we have 1 month November course. And a lot of students have said, their mind started to really settle down after 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, their mind is still back home, thinking about different things at homes, And so, but after 2 weeks, because they are not busy anymore, they don't have to do the worldly busy things, their mind also started to become quiet and settle down. And then they are really able to go deep and really reflect more deeper level with less distractions. So that is why, it is not only talking about external, also is internal, busyness in your mind, becoming too busy in your mind. And a lot of time, our activities, when you become too busy with activities, that also affects our mind also become more busy. When you have less activities to do that, your mind also becomes less busy. Your mind also becomes less busy. Your mind also can settle it down better. Your mind, and then your mind finds seclusion and solitude. As Lama Solar Rinpoche always says, retreat is not just the external retreat, it has to be internal retreat, your mind, to be able to find, but also it's absolutely important to find that, solitude or seclusion in your mind, they're free from busy mind, so that you can really focus, concentrate, and going deep, in your practice meditation. To be able to do that, also the external conditions also play roles, when you are too busy with it, action-wise, physically too busy, then definitely also it affects your mind. Your mind also become more busy. It's for sure. At least that is with me. I'm not sure with you. You can check yourself. You can see yourself. When I become busy with the worldly things and I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that, then, even when you're trying to meditate, those thoughts comes in your mind, sometimes when you are not meditating, it doesn't come. When you try to meditate, all these thoughts comes more clearly and more. That is why His Holiness shared, and I think maybe it's true, he said in Tibet, the cabinet minister or the government who run the government, when they need to plan, then they go in the retreat. And when they are in retreat, all this come clear. When they are not retreat, they are trying to plan what they are going to do, it doesn't come, But when they go in retreat, so that is such, and so what I'm saying is, so that is where our busyness, our everyday busy activities impact our mind to become more busy. And when we do less of that, and less to do that, and then also it affects our mind to be more quiet, to find more quiet, so that is the And once we have practice, and once we have strong practice, strong foundational practice, then being busy is not a problem. It doesn't affect you negatively. To be in the busy world and to be in busy things, because even in the most crowded, most busy places, because of your practice, you can practice without much distractions, without losing your mind, without being affected by that surrounding. You can still, just like that, you are in the mountains, in a cave, no one to disturb. You can be able to find your mind in that, even in surrounded by all the noise around you, people crying, laughing, making jokes, all kind of things, shouting, all things, but it wouldn't affect you. You can, even in such situation, you can be able to keep your mind calm, peaceful, concentrated, whatever you are trying to concentrate. So then being in that environment and busyness, whatever you do, it doesn't, you can, because even you try to do worldly things, every moment you are very mindful, very aware. Everything become practice, But until we reach that, if we don't have that good foundation, then for the beginner, to find, quiet environment, some level of seclusion and solitude, and trying to, not have too busyness is important at the very beginning, to create a good foundations, good practice and foundation practice, strong practice. And that is why if you see most of the great masters, their early lives, they have spent their life, in a retreat, 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. And then after once they have those strong foundation, practice, and realization, then they come into the world and then they serve and they benefit and help. And now being in the busy world, it doesn't affect them negatively. And they have the tools. They have developed the tools. They have developed the practice, the foundations, not to be affected negatively by that. And then in such situation, then being the busy world become helpful, beneficial. Yeah, if you read all the masters, great masters' stories, that is, you can see, at the very beginning, they study extensively, and then after that extensive, they go for, of course, while they are studying, they also try to practice as much as possible. But then, they really go and such, leaving all the busyness, distraction, and finding a solitude and seclusion, and they're totally dedicating there for, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. And then again coming back to the world, and that is when they started to share their experience, their knowledge, all of that. And that is how, if you read, so that is the advice here. And you see that advice in all the Buddha's teaching. You see in Sutra, you see in Nagarjuna's writing, you see in Shantideva's writing, you see all the Indian masters and all the Tibetan masters, there's a reasons, there's a reasons why. And all those masters found that was how they found beneficial and able to develop those strong foundation of the practice and realization. They found hard to cultivate those strong foundation, practice, and realizations while they are being in the business. They found not easy, hard. So therefore, and that is what they are sharing their experience. Same with Lama Tsongkhapa, even Lama Tsongkhapa, from very young age, very bright mind, extremely bright mind from the very young age, by in 30s, he have written some, in early 30s, he have written some of the most, commentaries or of, treatises, even the great master finds amazed of his, and become so famous, well-known all throughout the Tibet, even at a very young age, because of his incredible, wisdom and brightness, and, teachings, thousands of students, helping and benefiting, and at the same time trying to do his practice meditations. But still he struggled to have the correct realizations of emptiness, even though in terms of realization, even though he had, and when he was asked, whether to his teacher, whether his understanding realization of emptiness is according to the understanding of the Prasangika, the highest view, he thought, he was not, he thought at least he was middle way, but he was shocked to hear that that wasn't the case, even he wrote some of the greatest treatises at that time, even though he was so well respected, well received, even he has thousands of disciples following him, not only just disciples, some of those disciples, the top scholars at that time, top scholars at that time, you know. And then when he was asked what he need to do to have that realizations, and you know, advice given, you know, he should leave everything that he was doing, from teaching to writing, composing, go and, you know, completely go and do, you know, continue to study, meditate, and do purification, accumulation, merit, all taught. And then he left everything, you know, with 8 disciples, advised by teachers, just selected 8 disciples. And for many years, you know, in such seclusion, solitude, you know, and just focus on practice. And only after that, after many years in that, then he had the realizations. And once he had that realization, then of course, again, he came back and continued to teach, continue to write, you know, continue to help, continue to and establish those, you know, monastic universities, or, you know, the great monastery of studies. So even Lama Tsongkhapa, even like that is a good example of that, you know, and that is the same of all, most of them, you know. One of the reasons, you know, also with Lama Sopa Rinpoche, I think, you know, of course, when he was young, you know, only thing Rinpoche did was teachings, you know, otherwise he's always, you know, solitude or seclusion. He was just meditating, practicing. He didn't interact with others, you know. It was Lama Yeshe who was kind of running the organizations, the monastery, everything, you know. Rinpoche wasn't really involved and not interested, you know. Only after Lama Yeshe passed away, Rinpoche was kind of forced to take that. Rinpoche wasn't interested at the very beginning of the fact. You know, what I heard is that he asked Geshe Sherab in Deer Park, which was his and Lama Yeshe's teacher, as if he can take the organization and run it. And Geshe Sherab, I think, didn't accept and encourage him to take it. And then he went to His Holiness and take, if His Holiness Dalai Lama office would take in charge and run the organizations. I think His Holiness told him, you know, no, you should. And so that is when he started, but, you know, he was more interested in seclusion, solitude, and practice, you know. Not only that, from even previous life, you know, his part, he spent in cave most of his time, later part. And I think whatever, from that, he came with that imprint in this life, you know. And so anyway, so that is, you know, so yeah, so that is the way advice. And of course, we might, even we cannot find exactly completely like that, we try to find, you know, try to make as less busy as possible, you know, and try to, you know, we can make our life very busy. It's all up to us, you know. You know, I can be busy, you know, I can go and visit all my friends' parties, you know, friends, children's birthday parties, this party, that graduating party, this and that, or go to, there is, you know, a lot of musics, you can go in music, free musics, you can do the old music, you can go to all the different galleries, or you can do all, there's so much to do if you want to do that, you know, and you can do it. Or you try to keep yourself less busy from those kind of things and give your time more for your study practice. And So even you cannot really completely leave everything behind and totally go in the cave at this point, but at least you can create your own environment where you try to be less busyness and try to find some certain level of seclusion and solitude that can help your practice. So it is basically is creating better environment, our own practice. That's all it is. How can we create better environment? How can we create better environment for our practice? So we can practice with less distractions, and find more time. And then next is the advice on, how we use our speech, refrain from meaningless chatter and always keep a check on what you say. Again, in some of the commentaries, some of the teachers, some of the masters says, meaningless chatter is the words in a way. In terms direct harm that is done, of course, is harsh speech, for example. Harsh, hurtful, harsh speech. Definitely it hurts someone very badly, And also divisive speech is not lying also. But meaningless chatter is the way you waste most of your time, Meaningless chatter is where you waste most of the time. We can spend hours talking about the world. We can spend hours and hours talking about art. We can spend hours and hours about entertainment, movies, TV shows, music, whatever, different. We can talk all kinds of things, travel, everything we can talk about, except then just talking. What is really there? There is not much. And we can spend many, many hours just that. And a lot of time it increase in such chatter, then it increase delusions, When you hear about someone, they had such a great travel and such experience, then you might feel jealousy or envy, I wish I could have done that. I wish I have that opportunity, so again, attachment, jealousies, envy, it gives rise to that, less chatter, and also through chatter, then, sometimes we talk about others, whether you have the intention to hurt others, but you talk about others. So something comes, he did that, or he or she said that, or he said, and then, that is being passed by another person's, then I heard from that person, he or she did that, or he or she said that, and slowly it is passed one to one, and then it it creates again, that is how, and sometimes not only we chat and what he hears, sometimes on top of that we add a little bit, because we cannot remember exact word, and so we might, and then sometimes that changes exactly what that person says, and then by the time, 10 persons heard that, it could be very different things. It could be different things what really person said and what really person other heard. And so, all this comes from this meaningless chatter, just so it can be, wasting your time so much, wasting your time so much, instead of chanting, you can recite prayers, mantras. That will be much better. Use that half hours, chanting, meaningless chanting, do some prayers, do some mantras, that doesn't hurt anyone, that doesn't encourage or that doesn't give rise to any delusions, and that doesn't hurt someone. It's something positive, On the other hand, charters, you can be wasting. It can give rise to delusions, and it can hurt others. Even you don't have intention to hurt. A lot of time is like that, When you're charting, then things sometimes comes, and then always keep check on what you say, and that is where it is. When you are meaninglessly charting, we are not checking what we say, and then things slip, and you feel like you can wish you can take it back, but you cannot take it back. Someone you already said, someone's already heard it, and that is it. And then so mindful is here. Mindfulness is the key. Check what you say. Always check what you say. Being mindful of what you say. Being mindful of what you say. If I said that, is it helpful, beneficial? Will this hurt the other persons? Will this harm the other persons? Not only hurt the other person, harm the other persons. Is this a right for me to say? Is this a right for me to say? Is it really meaningful to say? If you are mindful, sometimes, because when we are under the emotions, sometimes we get upset and angry. And when we get upset and angry, a lot of things come in your mind. Because of that, in that moment, you become very angry, upset, and you think of negative, wanting to be harsh, wanting to kind of, say something harsh, hurtful, harmful. But if you're mindful, if you think with mindful, by saying that, what is serve the purpose? What is the purpose of that? What does it mean? Does it help the situation? Or will it make the situation worse? Does it help me? Does it help the other persons? This is something we have to think. It's not like whatever it comes, you just kind of pour it, even though we might not have total control of our mind, at least we can have some control of our speech and our physical actions. It's much more easy to have we can easily more easily refrain from using a harmful speech, harshful speech, hurtful speech, and showing that kind of action, behavior, than the mind. Mind is much more difficult to control. Mind is much more difficult to control. So at least we try to do that. And as Shantideva said, there was in one of, if you think, by me saying I feel good, that is such a what a pity, as Shantideva said, just because you feel satisfied by saying something harsh, hurting someone, because it gives you some kind of feeling like satisfied. What a pity, as he said, that is what it is. There's nothing really meaning. The only reason you do it because you feel good about it. because you said it, because you did that. It's just like what happens with terrorists. They killed, shoot the innocent people, and they feel very joyful and happy about that. There's nothing really they gain from that. They lose a lot. All the things they feel satisfied with that. Because you dislike so much someone, you have so much anger. And so, as Shanti said, what a pity. You do that just to feel that satisfactions. Because it gives you that kind of satisfactions, meaningless satisfactions. By being able to hurt someone, by being able to kill someone, or by being able to harm someone, by being able to hurt someone, And so that is why here, always check with what you say. And that is what I see in the social media is all that, In the moment of feeling, they just write all the, whatever they feel nasty, and become very harsh, And yeah, sometimes they might not, sometimes they know the effect, sometimes maybe they might not know the effect that it has on other persons. But, it could have a very strong, very harmful effect on the other persons. What do we say? What do we say? What do we say? It can have very, very strong negative impact, very harmful impact on others. So always keep check on what you say. So to be able to check on that, you have to be mindful. You have to be very mindful. You have to be very mindful. Before you say something, really think, if I said that, what is the purpose of saying? What is the benefit of saying that? Will that hurt and harm other person or not? Will this, by saying that, will problem solve or the problem get worse? Does it help the other person? Does it help me? Does it help the situation or not? Really? And if we really check it time, mindful, it's much better not to say. Because by saying it, because there's no check in our mind. And so if we let our mind to go unchecked and then act the mind in our speech and that, then we are just going to destroy the whole world. And that is what happens. Because in the moment, a lot of people feel that, they might want to take the life of others, in a moment of anger. That is how they feel. But a lot of people, they will not act that anger in that moment. And later they will calm down, they change their mind, That was a very negative thought that in a moment of anger, a moment of rages, they had that felt, But when they give enough time to think about that, contemplate on that, they will not follow that. They think that was not right. But it was a moment of mind. And same, you just had your thought. So in that moment, when if we allow our minds to act immediately with our speech, with our actions, then we will destroy everyone. So therefore, being mindful and checking what you do and what you say all the time. And so the next one, whenever you see your master or preceptor, so your master is your spiritual guru, teacher, that give you the instructions, advice, teachings, show you the path, guide you. Or preceptor is those who give you, perceptions, whether it's a refuge, whether it is also vows, whether it's tantric vows, whether it's a lay vows, whether it's ordinations, there are many different level of ordinations or different someone who give those precepts and the vows, When you see your master and preceptor, offer to serve them with the devotion and respect, by recollecting and remembering, their positive qualities, and remembering their kindness, then trying to cultivate devotion and respect, and then trying to serve them in whatever way you can, whenever possible, through the body, speech, and mind, as a way of repaying the kindness, yeah. So whatever way we can serve, directly, indirectly. And the best way to repay the kindness and serve the teachers is, as all the teaching says, the best offerings and the best service, best way of repaying the kindness is to practice, to put into practice, to integrate whatever advice, instructions, teaching they give, putting them into practice, putting them into the practice, integrating into the practice, and then making that your practice as offerings. Is the best offerings. It's the best way of repaying kindness. That's the best service that we can do. As Milarepa said, in one of his songs, I do not have any kind of material wealth to make offerings, but I will repay the kindness my spiritual father, the mother, and my spiritual father, the guru, through my practice. And that is what he did. That's what he did. And Marba cannot be more than happy. His teachers, his spiritual father, spiritual teachers couldn't be more than happy to see Milarepa, putting so much effort day and night without sleep, practicing all the instructions, all the teaching he gave, and making progress on that, and so, from that perspective, Milarepa has most kind of close feeling to Milarepa than other students, disciples, some of them are wealthy, who made a lot of great wealth offerings. Milarepa had nothing to offer, but through his practice, that is what he offered, and Marva was most pleased, and feel more strong feeling connection to that because of that, and that is same, for a true spiritual masters and guru, they will be most happy when they see their disciples applying, integrating, putting into the practice, And that's the same if you see someone like His Holiness Dalai Lama, there are a lot of wealthy people who make a lot of donations, big offerings. But he feels very close to those meditators, those retreat, who have nothing in Dharamsala hills, those meditators, those retreat, He feels very close, he support them, he help them, when they come, he give great respectfully, give advice, interact, discussions about their practice, their realization, and that is what makes them really happy, because they see them, trying to dedicate their life, dedicate their life towards the practice, trying to apply all the teachings, instruction they have received, trying to apply in their life and trying to dedicate their life towards that. And so that's the best offering one can give, that is the best service one can give, that's the best offering, service, and way of repaying the kindness. And those who possess enlightened visions, and those first setting out upon the path, regard them both as your spiritual teachers. So again, of course, those who possess enlightened visions, with the great visions, with a lot of who have, great compassion, kindness, wisdom, knowledge, experiences, try to see them and regard them as spiritual teachers, and then trying to, again, by seeing them as spiritual teachers, paying respect, paying homage, and not only for those, even those first setting out on the path, those who are very beginner, who might not have reached very high level of wisdom, knowledge, experiences, great compassion, but who have just set out, who have a strong aspirations, who want to follow that path, to become more kind, more compassion, more wisdom, more enlightened, and who have set their path also, trying to see them as a spiritual masters. They also are a good example. They are also, good models. They are also great inspirations. Also great encouragement, and so forth. And by seeing them also, then also try see them also like spiritual teachers, your own spiritual teachers, and also try to be very respectful. Just as we will be respectful of our spiritual guru, spiritual master, also trying to be respectful to them as well. So to have the respect, to show respect and high regard, they do not have to be our personal spiritual guru. Okay? Someone who has those qualities, or who are aspiring to or dedicating their life to be like that, we should also respect them equally like that. hold him very high, regard him highly. You know, the problem with art is sometimes when we see our guru, then we hold, oh, it's the Buddha and this and that, and like there's no false guru. Everything he or she does, no problem. Everything is perfect. Buddha and all of that. And when it comes to other teachers who might have similar qualities, then we just kind of put it down, or doesn't show same level of respect, some level of regarding highly, and that could be another extreme. We can go from one extreme to another extreme, and sometimes that is how we can be. So yeah. So I think today we will kind of stop here. So I can, if there is any questions, comment to share, most welcome. Any?
I see Karen has a question.
Yeah.
Just two questions. So when you're talking about people who, the lamas that don't usually share their special realizations and so forth, well, then how do you recognize, that, and then you say, there's people you're going to pay extra respect to because you think of them as your guru or as special people in some way, enlightened. But how do you perceive that? If they're keeping their realizations to themselves and making it a personal matter, then how does one recognize those people? That's the first question.
Well, even though we do not know their mind, first of all, just because someone say I have this enlightened, it doesn't mean it's true. A lot of those fake gurus are those who said I have this experience. That is a lot of the time, if you really see it, those fake gurus, controversials, and those who have abused their powers, cult gurus and so forth, those are the ones, many of them have said they have those enlightened experiences. That is how they attracted the people. People believe in that. So one thing, just because someone says, it doesn't mean that they really have.
But how do you recognize the real thing then? I mean, you mentioned in another teaching about Lama Zopa Rinpoche being a true bodhisattva because throughout his life, your experience of him, he was remarkable. I understand that because it's right there. You can recognize it. But if it's not so obvious through a pattern of actions and so forth, then how do you recognize these people?
Yeah, the one thing is we have to study ourselves and we have to know what are the qualities of such experience. Teachers, gurus, what are the qualities, what are the signs, and you spend enough time to investigate, analyze, spend around them. And even though I'm not 100% sure, but to some degree, you will know little about that. You can say, what we call inference, the reasonable inference. We can know, even you have not been there, but when you see the smoke coming from there, you know that there's a fire.
Right.
So just like that, by seeing someone's behavior and actions, and we can know a little bit about what might be their mental state to a certain degree.
Right. When you were talking about busyness, that was really interesting. The busyness of the world and the busyness of the mind. So it makes me wonder, how does the average person, the one either with a family or in a relationship with somebody, how do they ever manage to block out enough time for the practice, assuming that they didn't do what some of the higher realized beings did when they, went on retreat when they were younger for 10, 15 years? Say they didn't have that opportunity. Does the average man never have a chance really to achieve much in life because of the demands of samsara?
Well, if we don't know those average people, how much they have already practiced in the past. Some of them might have already practiced well in the past.
Right, right.
You cannot say for sure they never had a practice in the past.
Right.
But therefore, someone who have already have a practice in the past, they're already in this life, they come with more kindness, more compassion, more mind, that they are born with some kind of very concentrated mind and doesn't get distracted easily. We say they are born with that, but it's born with them because they have done the practice in the past, or some of them are very, let's say, very intelligent or smart, or like when it comes to emptiness, or those very complicated philosophy, and those where most people find difficulty, they found very easy, and they find it's like in their, what they call their yard, it's something like if they are, this is in their yard, it's something. And so those come from the imprint from the past, there are a lot of, and so therefore that there is that part too. But also even within the lay practitioners, it's all independent individuals. There are people who have children, families, job, everything, but who make sure they don't miss the classes, they don't miss the retreat, they don't miss the practice every day. And then there are people who have no children, no job, and who still struggles to find time to go to the teaching, who still struggles. Even they have the wish, sometimes they struggle to find time for a job because they get distracted. Oh, there is something musical going on here. Oh, there is some entertainment here. There is an opera here. Oh, I heard there is this concert today here. There's this and that. And then many other hobbies, many other activities. And so it is individual, whether it's a monk or whether it's a family, monks, nuns. There could be also monks, nuns who might also be too busy and struggles to find the time, and so it is individual. This is how we manage our time, how we manage, if someone manages, and I've seen many practitioners who have taken care of children, job, full-time job, everything, but who hardly miss the teachings at different centers and with the different teachers, and who are extremely dedicated in their study and practice. And then also I've seen others who have so much time, but they struggle to find time for their practice. They struggle to find time to studies and all of that. So.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any others? If not, then we can do dedications. That is also fine. Maybe we can just do the Shantidevas. Yeah, thank you. May all beings everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtues of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever forgive. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see form and the deaf hear sound. May those whose bodies are wounded be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drink. May the poor find wealth, and those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvest. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from all their ailments. Whatever disease they are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightening cease to be afraid, and those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you. Good to see all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Shiva.
Ready.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.